Good morning and welcome, everybody. Thank you for registering and joining today's webinar, which is entitled Adapting to Change, Key Trends and Insights into Venue Sourcing for Hotels. Welcome. My name is Jane Pendlebury. I am the CEO of HOSPA, the Hospitality Professionals Association. It's 10 a.m. It's Wednesday, the 12th of March, 2025. Last week, I was reporting glorious spring weather, and this week we have returned to colder weather, and the global news remains rather unpredictable too. We're due to be chatting for around 30 to 40 minutes today with time for questions at the end. So please do ask questions throughout using the Q&A option, which should be at the bottom of your screen. If there's not enough time to answer the queries, then we will get back to you afterwards. I'm delighted to be joined by Leman from the Landmark, Marali from Mackay, and Nicola from Cvent. But I'm going to hand over to Nicola now to lead this webinar. Thank you, Nicola.
Brilliant. Thank you. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for the lovely introduction, Jane. And yes, welcome everybody to our panel discussion today on key trends and insights for the MICE venue sourcing in 2025. And today we're going to be really unpacking some key insights from our latest planner sourcing survey that we conducted with Cvent at the end of last year. And as hoteliers, we all gain really first-hand insights from planners on what venues really need to do to stay competitive and capture that all-important MICE business this year. And at the end of the presentation, we'll also have a QR code where you can download our report and ebook as well. But next up, I will just introduce a little bit more of the panelists today. I'll quickly start with myself, the boring one. So my name is Nicola Allen. I'm the Marketing Director for our hospitality side of the business here at Cvent. We also own a company called Venue Directory, which some of you may have heard of. But if you haven't heard of Cvent, we really are sort of a global events and hospitality technology company that supports hotels, venues, convention bureaus with attracting and managing their meetings and events business. But I'll hand over to Leman to introduce herself next.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Leman Selamet. I am the commercial director of the Landmark London. I've been working in Landmark is 5 years, and my background is revenue, but I'm now, since 2 years, I'm looking after the sales, marketing, and revenue team in Landmark. Thank you.
And next to you, Marali.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I'm Marali. I am a head of events here at Mackay. I've been with the company for nearly 7 years now. For those of you who don't know who Mackay are, we are a global travel management company with a full end-to-end event management division with over 185 of us in the events team globally.
Perfect. Thank you both. So before we dive into the findings, I just wanted to give a little bit of context about who we surveyed around sort of the discussion that we'll be covering today. So we worked with an external agency called Census Wide, and we surveyed over 600 planners across Europe with an extensive list of questions regarding their current thoughts and opinions on all aspects of the event sourcing process. And planners, as I mentioned earlier, they were located across Europe, but also from a range of different industries. So everything from healthcare to finance, technology, just to name a few. And so I wanted to dive into our first sort of finding, which is all around costs and budget. So an exciting one to kick off with. And what we found was that 61% of planners have indicated to us that their budgets will increase for 2025, but also 67% also expect their costs to increase. So when we actually asked this question in previous year's surveys, because we have been conducting this for a number of years now, 85% of planners said that their budgets were due to increase. So what that's telling us is that we aren't expecting such an aggressive jump as last year in terms of sort of budget increases. But what's interesting, however, is that we also asked planners how many events they expect to run in 2025, and 78% are expecting to run 10 or more events compared to 34% last year. So essentially, budgets are going up, not as aggressively as 2024. Costs are going up even more, but also the number of events that planners expect to host this year is considerably higher than last year. So knowing all this, therefore, it's unsurprising that staying within budget this year is the single largest worry for event planners, with 36% stating it as their biggest concern. And that's followed by time management and then the overall costs of meetings and events at 29%. But despite all of these concerns around costs and staying under budget, it's very interesting to note, however, that 94% of the planners are willing to pay more, however, for a preferred hotel or venue. And in this instance, what we mean by preferred hotel or event venue is really one that is a good match for the event, not necessarily one that's part of a preferred hotel program. But what these results are really indicating to us is that value that planners are really placing on trusted partnerships, a quality service, but also a space that really suits their needs the best, even in tight economic circumstances that we're facing right now. So I wanted to open this up to our panel, and Marali, I'm going to come to you first. On the first slide, we saw that 61% of planners have seen their budgets increase this year, and I was really curious to know, are you also seeing sort of a similar uptick on your event budgets this year at Reed and Mackay?
Oh, I mean, I think my targets would suggest so. No, but overall, yes, we are. And I think the caveat to that is that Reed and Mackay work with a variety of different clients, and a variety of different industry bases. To the extent to which budgets are increasing really depends on the industry type. But what we've seen with the increase in budget is also a decrease in the amount of risk that clients are willing to take. So by this, I mean we have higher event budgets, but it's resulted in more in-depth negotiations at that contracting stage on payment terms, attrition rates, and cancellation clauses.
And then when it comes to your sort of preferred hotels, then, are you also finding that your clients are willing to pay a bit more of a premium for those event venues that are perfectly suited to their events, a bit like what we saw in the survey?
Yeah, I think it all depends on each client and their key decision factors when they come to us with their inquiries. In the clarification calls that the team do, they'll really scope out what the purpose of that event is to understand. And that call usually gives an indication on the budget flexibility and the scope we've got to include venues that we previously may have discounted because they were over budget. We'll present all of the options, including a premium option, and then that decision really lies with the end client. Of course, it's all relevant and relative to what those increased costs equate to. But what I also find quite interesting is it's not just related to costs, but we're also seeing clients willing to change event dates to be accommodated in their preferred venues.
Brilliant. No, that's really interesting. So the flexibility then that sort of planners are willing to give for that, specific venue, especially if they like it and they've used it before. Leman, moving on to yourself then, what sort of feedback are you hearing from your clients with regards to budget changes for this year?
So occasionally we are hearing also the budget and kind of issue, especially because the London is increased the room and venue capacity of the city is becoming a big challenge for, I believe, most of the hotels. And we start to hear more comparing on the similar level of hotel and by asking price reductions. Also, it continue to hearing or seeing actually is that we're losing the business for some other European cities like kind of Paris, Amsterdam, Barcelona, even the Bangkok came to us recently. So I believe like generally what I'm hearing, London is becoming an expensive in terms of hosting the event, especially corporate conference business, by combining with the flight and everything, and therefore, most of our clients, I mean the new client, of course, not the existing one, that they are willing to pay less and they're more easy to access than the city-wise and more budget focus actually.
And then we also saw that 36% of event planners were saying, that staying within budget is really sort of their biggest concern. How are you therefore sort of really collaborating with them to sort of address this challenge, but also trying to sort of drive that all important MICE business for your venue?
Yes, as like a landmark, we have a big event spaces and we have also high budget, and every year our budget is also increasing. So it's like what we're doing, we are proactively introducing the dynamic rates, like depending on the season, day, and availability. And I think we're becoming more flexible in terms of the terms and condition, cancellation policy, and also upgrading, like giving an upgrade option and enhancing F&B offering. And also we will be trying to be the proactive sales team and to strengthen our relationship and hosting fun trips, and also conducting the appreciation event, and get more like a relationship with the client.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's interesting that you both mentioned about sort of the contracts, or the terms as well. Sort of there's obviously sort of a lot more demand for that flexibility, but it's great that you're saying sort of that venues are being a bit more flexible when it comes to that as well, which is fantastic. Okay, so let's move on to the next insight then from the survey results. And most planners, 83%, really want responses to their RFPs within 4 days or less. And in fact, what we found was for smaller events, so those under 50 people, a third of planners really wanted their response within 2 days or less. So the smaller the event, the quicker they want the response. And additionally, planners also told us that response times really is a key area where they feel like hotels can improve the most, which we'll see on the following chart here. But if you also look at some of the other aspects of the sourcing process, yes, we know that response speed is critical, but what about the quality and the thoroughness of that RFP and the proposal itself? So as you can see from the graphs, 20% of planners think that hotels and venues could really do a better job when it comes to those customized and thorough proposals. And we know that this can really sort of hugely influence a planner's decision to book a venue or not. And in fact, after costs and venue location, what we found was that the thoroughness of those proposals is the next most important thing that planners will that will influence essentially their decision to book with a hotel, according to our findings. And so I wanted to discuss this a little bit more. And Marali, going back to you, I'd love to know sort of from your perspective, why are getting these sort of rapid responses to your RFPs so critical?
Right, I find it really interesting actually, because before I even saw this presentation deck, if you'd have asked me to pick out the key areas of where where venues could work on to improve, I would have probably picked out all of those that had been listed. So it's nice to know I'm not the only one out there thinking the same thing. But if you're considering response times, for us at the moment, our lead times from inquiry received from our clients to event start date are getting shorter, and we're not having as much time to plan and pull together those options. And that's also coupled with, for many of our clients, we've got contracted SLAs in place, and it's important that the team meet them and that we meet what we've agreed with our client base. So you couple the short lead times with contracted SLAs, and then you also throw in the volume of inquiries that we're now receiving week on week, month on month, and that can really put pressure on the operational team to remain as efficient as possible. So for us, even if it's a no, a response is always really appreciated. Transparency is key. We can then move on to providing relevant options. And the demand for the turnaround times from clients is a lot quicker. I think there's things that venues can do for sure, and making sure those proposals are received fast and are thorough, but also it's the job of my team here at Reed & Mackay, particularly from a travel management company background, to also educate our clients on the way that group meetings and events bookings are handled, and that it is offline and it needs commercial director or revenue sign off, and it's not just booked through a GDS like you would with your usual business travel.
And then, Leman, for you then, how are you sort of managing that demand that we've just sort of been talking about, and then ensuring that your team can really deliver those comprehensive proposals quickly?
So what we're doing in here, like both proactive and reactive sales team, and they are screening all the inquiries and filtering through those that is in line with our diary and also the kind of the budget. This is really help, and we have a very good. I'm proud of my team. Actually, they are very settled. And then the team, the reactive team, they have an incentive program. Is one of the important is the response rate. So back on a year ago, our response rate was 36 hours. And when I had a meeting with the Cvent partner, and then we had, thank you to all our partners, Cvent partners, the ship, because we had a training for all our team members, proactive team and then the reactive team all together. And then we improve our response rate from 36 hours to 6 hours and 30 minutes. And according to latest email that I just received a few days ago, YSR Comstat is doing 14 hours and 30 minutes. And this is a significant increase. And also we have, it's efficient for everyone, not only for like a client side, it's also a productive side for our team member. Also, we have our own manual bespoke proposal, and for a corporate or social event side, we're looking for automation system to implement for the within the year. And we are continuously training all our team member in terms of like how it's important to get like kind of the closer sales and be proactive in terms of the sending the inquiries. And to be honest, me myself and every week weekly sales, the strategy, I am top of everything actually to make sure that we will keep this response rate.
Now, those response rates are very impressive, I have to say. And then Marali, going back to yourself then and taking into account the findings on, you know, that RFP and proposal quality, what information are you really looking for in order to make a decision about which venue that you're going to book?
Yeah, I think great transparency, and by that I mean, you know, clear breakdown of the costs and all the associated costs that may come with it. You know, are they inclusive or exclusive of VAT? Do they include local taxes? There's no ambiguity. Like, are there going to be any supplements, so that we can present everything to the client up front? You know, with your meeting space, it's your usual, the capacities, what AV's included, does it have natural daylight, the breakout, the catering options. But I think what we also really look for is what's that value add offering. You know, linking back to one of the biggest concerns for planners being like staying within budget, it's looking and working with the venues to do what can we do in terms of those value adds, and, you know, the hard and the soft savings. Is it that we can adjust the cancellation terms? Is it that we can offer 5 complimentary upgrades? What makes your venue, your offering, and your proposal stand out against the other 2 or 3 that we've perhaps also received? I think, you know, the operational considerations and making sure that they're aligned. And I think there's for it to be clear and to have no ambiguity and easy to understand. And that's really important, linking back to the shorter lead times that the team are receiving. If we receive 4 venue proposals through, and 3 of them are really clear to understand and we know exactly what the costs are, and 1 we've got to go back and clarify, the chances are by the time we've gone back and clarified, the client's already seen the first 3 options, because there's been no ambiguity. And I think that the detailedness of a proposal provides some reassurance to us as event planners on how that venue will be to work with when we move to contracting and to the actual event management stage.
And I'm sure they're sort of getting, you know, that standardized format is probably sort of help to you as well, sort of where you at least get consistent information so you can easily compare.
Absolutely.
I thought it was really interesting to hear from both of you about, you know, that these short lead times and, you know, how, of course, they're putting pressure under sort of both sides of the business, but also really sort of how it was great to hear from you, Leman, as well, about like all the training that you're doing with your team as well to sort of really help and support that and sort of the proactiveness that we're seeing as well. So thank you both. So moving on to the next finding then. So we've already discussed sort of budgets, cost, response time, and proposal quality. But what about some of the other challenges that we're seeing as well? And I wanted to bring this particular slide back up because I think it's really important to note that time management and resource limitations are really big concerns for planners this year, especially as we've already discussed, they're running more events than ever before. And so it's really clear to see from that then that there's a really strong need for those effective solutions that can help planners really streamline processes, but also enhance their efficiency as well. And this is really where sort of technology comes into play. And 30% of the respondents for our survey told us that they are spending more time using technology than ever before to source hotels and event venues. And to go a little deeper into this, of those planners that indicated to us that they were using technology more, 42% of them are using it to review things like event diagrams and then rooming specifications. But also, if you look at the other bars on this graph, technology is actually being used across all the different stages of the sourcing process. So what really is sort of the key takeaway for us here? I think it's, planners are running more events than ever before, but they've got less time and they're utilizing technology to further streamline their processes. So as a hotel or event venue, I think it's never been, more important really to make sure that you're leveraging that technology to showcase your event space in that best possible way. And over 40% of the planners indicated to us that access to things like event diagrams, meeting room specifications, images, video even, all really influence their decision to book a venue the most. And I'm going to bring this back to our panel again, sort of to discuss some of these topics. Leman, I'm going to go to you first on this one. In what ways do you really believe that technology can really help with this sourcing process and improving that for event venues?
I mean, it's good to see the improvement in terms of the sourcing side, is because it's like in terms of the event side as well. Because at the moment in Landmark, we are using the social table, which is part of Cvent product, and I can see that how efficient, because this is all back before that we used to send the back and forward the question to the guest, the plan, the event, social or corporate event. Now this tool has the interactive way of managing from the client side as well, so they can lead how they want to do this event. That is giving like a great opportunity for like a relationship with the client, as well as the efficiency for our team member. However, my background is the revenue. So in terms of the rooms, there is lots of improvement. But when I look back at the event side, so it will be like a few things still missing. And I think there's a great opportunity for everyone, for all hotelier or venue side, if we have like a real-time availability with the direct connectivity with our PMS system. So that is really will be the great to increase the revenue opportunity. So I am hearing something that needs development from the Cvent side. Hopefully we will be seeing this development, and it will be very exciting. Really, for me, is the most exciting part, really, the hearing this. And yeah, this kind of things will be beneficial for everyone.
Fantastic, thank you. And then, Marali, for yourself, how are you really sort of leveraging that technology then to make the sourcing process more efficient?
Yeah, I mean, we work in close alignment with Cvent and have a partnership with Cvent, and we're always looking for ways to improve the operational efficiencies and opportunities that the platform provides. Internally, we've implemented new technology and a new provider for our proposal systems last year to try and reduce that amount of manual manipulation and streamlining that we have, and streamlining the RFP stage. I also exploring like potential APIs that can help support that. We also utilize resources that the hotels and the venues put out there. So, the 3D tours or any of that sort of imagery or walkthrough videos, particularly to shortlist the RFP stage. And, I'm sounding boring now, harping on about the short lead times, but those sorts of walkthrough videos, those site visit tours that you can do virtually, well, we would always recommend someone sees it in person. A lot of our clients don't have the time or the availability to do so now. So that sort of technology where you're utilizing to showcase your venue, we're using more and more to be able to send to clients and to showcase.
No, brilliant. Thank you both for your comments there. Yeah, it's so interesting to hear, the importance of those virtual sort of site tours that people are sort of demanding a lot more. I remember when I first joined like the events industry, I'm showing my age, but maybe like 15 years ago, and all my colleagues were all, pretty much always going on site visits. That's all they seem to do. But now it's just completely changed. So interesting to hear both of your thoughts on that one. And so moving on to our last trend that we wanted to showcase today. So last year, nearly half or 48% of the European event and meeting planners expressed interest in exploring new types of venues. And this year, we're really seeing that trend continue, with 45% still actively sourcing special event venues. And in this instance, what we mean by special event venue is essentially any sort of event venue that isn't a hotel, so perhaps sort of a restaurant or a gallery. Now, what types of venues are they starting to source exactly? Well, top event venues in demand for this year, from the research that we did, seem to be convention centres and restaurants, which were both at 36%, followed by theatres, art galleries, and then museums as well. So what this is really telling us is that planners are looking at a really sort of diverse range of options to create experiences, especially as they have those tighter budgets now as well that we've discussed. And interestingly, we're also seeing this same trend on our own Cvent supplier network, with about a 25% year-over-year increase in RFP value sourced to special event venues compared to the previous year as well. So to bring this back to our panel today, Marali, I'm going to go to yourself. What types of venues do you typically use to host your events, and have there been any changes in the types of venues that your clients are demanding?
Yeah, I think, traditionally it has been like the hotel focused meeting space venues. But I think, our client base internally has expanded, and with that comes a different type of venue. And I think that's also coupled with a new generation coming through who want to see something a bit different for their event program and something maybe unique. Whilst we do still heavily source within hotels, we have a lot of multi-elemental projects, and we'll see at least one of those fall outside of a hotel and into what you guys are classing as a special event venue. So, we've done museums hosted on a boat. We've repurposed shipping containers as venues. We've had sporting stadiums. So we are having more or less traditional venues that are coming through. And I think, new openings, regardless of whether that is a special event venue or whether it's a hotel, are always very of interest to the team and the client base. And clients want to be the first in their industry to run an event in that venue or in that type of atmosphere and environment. So Reed & Mackay always want to collaborate with venues, hotels, to deliver great events, and I think that's the key.
Absolutely. And then Leman, coming to you then, are you sort of also seeing that increased competition from special event venues? And if you are, sort of how are you adapting your sales strategy to sort of address this and stay competitive?
I mean, in terms of like a social event, wedding, gala dinner, or the award ceremony, yes, we've been hearing like museums generally for becoming like a popular. But we have a great product. Our hotel is 125 years old, and it has a natural daylight. I think back on 125 years old, they did the layout greatly. You can't even do this time. So we're beautiful to a ballroom, and it's kind of museum actually, our hotel. So therefore I'm proud. And it's also, we have a lots of F&B outlets where sometimes we've been flexible to offer them to be used. Like our champagne bar is very popular. Our gastro pub, a British pub, is becoming very popular. And also we are more focusing on, which is also, we have a great reputation in terms of service standard and the food quality. So therefore, which allows us to retain the repeat business. And while the guest is here, we're trying to get this business the repeat for the future. And we continue. I'm encouraging all our team members to continue to go and visit all the new trendy venues to understand, and they compare with our USPs and train them, and also giving added value for the F&B side more to our clients.
Sure, brilliant. Well, thank you both for your inputs on this. That's all we have time for today. But if anybody did want to download the planner sourcing report that we've discussed today, feel free to scan the QR code on the slide in front of you, or you can visit our website as well. But that's it from us. So I'll hand back over to Jane.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nicola. Gosh, that was interesting. I'm sure our listeners have learned a lot today. It's such a familiar story: less time, less budget, higher expectations. But it was great to hear from the venue, from Leman, and loving your speedy response to your M&E queries, and also from Marali on the planner side, who have entirely different pressures from their clients. So that very balanced panel. Thank you, Nicola. We do have a couple of questions here. So I'm just going to have a quick look to see which ones might be the most interesting. Marali, when measuring success of your events at Reed & Mackay, which KPIs are the most important? Now, I guess that's from, I guess that you've probably got your own internal KPIs, but from your clients as well, your corporate clients who are booking venues through you, booking events through you.
Yeah, and I think again, it's a great question, and I think again that comes down. It can be on an individual client basis, and that's also dependent at that clarification call and the purpose of that event. Cost savings, the hard and soft savings are a big one for our clients, like to show value, to show the negotiations that they've managed to achieve, particularly when event budgets are increasing, but also the return on investment for the purpose of their event. So why have they got together? Like, what's the reason for that event, and measuring that? And that really is on a case by case basis. And then internally, from an internal perspective, it's more about, the service levels, how we manage to negotiate what we can, best rates for our clients.
Brilliant. Great answer. Thank you. And Leman, there's one here that you can probably answer with either an industry head on or specifically the Landmark Hotel. But sustainability, is that becoming something that people are asking for more and more? And are there things you have changed to make sure that you're ticking the box for the people that are running these events, large or small?
Oh yes, this is a very hot topic actually at the moment, and to be honest, like we are paying big attention, and so like in a year time we have done great achievement in terms of like electricity. So we have a smart air conditioning system in the bedroom that we save 31% of the electricity within the year time. And we are EarthCheck certificate bronze, and we're working for the silver at the moment. So therefore, there's a lot of requirement that you have to be in line. And zero food vested. This is another thing that we are proud. And so we changed our utility broker, and now 100% renewable energy we're using. And we saved 615,000 kilowatt energy, electric save in between 2023 and 24, which is equal to 230 UK homes for 1 year. So 1 year. So it's a great achievement. And so we have changed all our function room and replaced the lighting to replace with the LED. We are paperless since how many years in terms of all our meeting and everything that we use on the screen. And we are meat free on Mondays, and sorry, and plastic free room keys. But we changed all our keys to the bamboo keys. So this is and also all the menus and everything will display in the screen. So so far we did a lot, but we are lost to go still.
Brilliant. Okay. And then there's another one which I think is for you as well. It's complimenting you on your speedy reaction to the RFPs. And I must say that I was very impressed with that too. The question is really, how are you doing it so quickly? And are there particular tools that you're using when responding?
At the moment, we are not particularly using any tool, like we are just responding. What we did is the train for all our proactive and the reactive team all together. So as soon as we receive, I have a very experienced team and the director, and she just, if it's like a kind of any RFP, she sent it a certain colleague who is very good in terms of this, the knowledgeable. So they are responding very quickly. So therefore, it's a big journey actually. It wasn't easy. The training, confidence in terms of product, and know the system very well. So in a year time, it's 36 hours to 6.5 hours, a great achievement. We will still continue to train our new team members as well to be very proactively. And therefore, we've seen the also increase on the RFP side and increase on the conversion rate side as well.
Yeah, no, very, very impressive. And I think we've just got one more, unless anyone quickly pops any there in the box, and it's for you, Marali. When you first get an RFP in and you're choosing a venue or choosing options to go out to, I'm sure you're guided a lot by the client, but when you're sourcing new venues, what's your process, or which bit do you find most challenging? If the hoteliers are here listening, how can they make sure that they're on your list?
You know, I think it's a combination of things. You know, we've got a lot of internal education that we're doing with the operation event planning team here, getting them out to venues, getting them seeing venues, getting them familiar with venues, like webinar Wednesdays with suppliers, and working closely with our commercial director internally. It's also about joining things like this to hear from different venues. The site visits, which I know Nicola mentioned, used to be all the time at the very start, and trying to increase those, but utilizing platforms like Cvent, particularly if we've got less experienced members of the team who aren't quite familiar with a local area, and using the map functionality to find those venues. So, you know, having your Cvent profile up to date with all of the relevant information and imagery. But then it's also relying on each other. We've got internal Teams channels which are dedicated to venue brainstorming ideas, and people will regularly drop messages in there saying, I've got a program happening in Lisbon, this is the budget, anyone got any recommendations? And because of within the UK alone, they've got 23 people who are operational within events. There's a wealth of knowledge there, and event people have done projects in certain places. So it's utilizing who you've got, what you know, and yeah, it's a whole combination.
Brilliant. No, that's great. Okay, then we have no more open questions. So first of all, compliments to Leman on keeping your voice going, because you're obviously struggling a bit there, but you've done really, really well. There were some truly interesting comments from all of you doing that. I think, Nicola, you mentioned showing your age when you said something, but I'm really damning myself now. Many, many years ago, when I phoning us to get the proposals together. So it's progressed a lot.
Yes.
If anybody listening today would like an introduction to any of our panelists, please just let me know, and I'll be really happy to connect you. And I always have to say, if you need any formal advice, then please do approach your professional advisors or come to me at HOSPA for a referral. For those of you listening, and I know there are quite a few here today involved in marketing, please don't forget to enter the Hotel Marketing Awards. The deadline for entries is actually the day after tomorrow, Friday, the 14th of March. And it's our 30th award ceremony this year, and it's going to be held at the Savoy on the 16th of June. And I know it's going to be spectacular. So please do nominate any highly skilled colleagues that you have involved in marketing. There's a link to the HMA website at the bottom of the HOSPA homepage, and that will take you to a section, or you then can choose a section on the awards there. And please do take a look at hospa.org for any other upcoming events and webinars as well, of which there are many. Also on the website, you'll find recordings of all of our webinars and masterclasses, which are also available on the HOSPA YouTube channel. And today's webinar will be uploaded within the next few days. And we also write a blog on the webinar today. So lots to look out for and lots to recommend to your colleagues if they haven't been able to join today. But thank you all for listening. Thanks again to the expert panelists. I think that was really good today. And we look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Thanks very much and goodbye.